bear with me because it's the monthly leaderboards as well. And we've got some announcements. So I think Whit's going to be joining us as well. Man, it's been a while. Has it been 2 or 3 years? It feels like since we've done Money, Muscle, Mind. I think
it's been maybe 5 years.
More, maybe 5 years.
4 or 5 years. Yeah.
Team's fired up for it.
When we did it, I bet we paid off $1 million in debt collectively as a company, and we lost a metric ton of weight.
I know.
I think you're right.
I know.
You know,
you're right.
Really good
and we all got collectively much smarter on the mind part too. So
that's right.
And really, you know, when you think about it, the money and the muscle part is really a lot about the mind part as well. So top 10 new writers for the week. You see them there. Number 1 was Dalton Ray. Whoa. 19,577 first week out that's a good one. See what you can do this week. Joseph Kaznecki, $49,585 for his first month in the field. Not too shabby. I mean, even when you're looking at the top 5 here, Casey, I mean, that used to be take Joseph off the top. That was what our weekly leaderboards for people that had been here for 3 years looked like 5 years ago. So congratulations, new writers. There's a lot more of them out there that need your help. Go find them. Top producer for the week was Joshua Quillen with $28,321. Top for the month was Ashley Richard, and I think she deserves a round of applause. This is the 3rd month in a row over $100,000. She hit her goal of over $300,000 over 3 months in a row of $100,000. So I don't know how you do it. Same with Gabrielle and Ike Manello, Rex Knight. I mean, all of you that have these numbers. Look at this March.
I mean, Ashley Richard, we're going to have her on. We're going to have her tell her story. A lot of you've seen it on social media, but to me, what I just see is a prime example of excuse elimination.
Absolutely.
You're talking about a single mom that homeschools her kids and travels the globe, taking her kids to see experiences along the way. And she did all that in the previous 3 months where she surpassed 300K. Unbelievable. What's holding you back? What is it that you have said that's keeping you from achieving what you know you could accomplish if you just decided you're going to do it?
You know what this is? It's an excuse eliminator, but it's also better than that. It's the mindset of someone that instead of looking at things as a reason why I can't, they're looking at things as a reason why I have to. You know, that's why there's no victim mentality here. And that's why, you know, it's just a small shift in how you're looking at situations, right? A lot of people, the vast majority of people would say, I can't do this because I don't have the time. I have these kids that I have to support. I have this schooling that I have to do with them. I have all of these things and all these reasons and excuses why I can't do it. Somebody like Ashley says, these are the reasons why I have to. And not only am I going to go out and do it fairly well, I'm going to go out and do it better than anybody else in the company for the last 3 months. So congratulations to you, Ashley. Heck of a run there. App count producers for the week: Margaret Bonds Jensen with 16, Ashley Richard with 112. So not many huge apps sitting in there too. That's a lot of production. Well done. Chad Stevens Semper, top Medicare Sup writer for the week. Kelvin Albers for the month with almost 13,000 in Med Sup business. Top DI writer was Ashley Richard with 1,581. Holly Alien for the month with 6,120. Top IUL producer for the week was Jamie Klesiak. For the month was Max Valerie Mason, $135,350.
Let's go.
In IUL premium. Max $1 million, baby. Steven Jackson, top annuity writer for the week with 440,000. Sean Pierce with 836,000 for the month. Way to go. Top DFL producers for the week was Gabriella and Ike Munello, almost $32,000, and 120, just shy of $124,000 for the month in DFL production. Killing it. Oh, skipped one there. Top base shop new
I hear
writers.
Resma yelling down the hallway right now. It's fired up.
Hey, let me just say, we ain't seen nothing.
We ain't seen nothing yet.
We ain't seen
It's
nothing.
about to get even better.
When these new products drop, we ain't seen nothing
People
yet.
ask me all the time, Brandon, what are some of the things that I get to see behind the scenes that I'm most excited about? Normally I have to tell them that GoForth's had me sign a bunch of papers, but when you see the carriers and the reinsurers and the people that are stopping by Swananoa right now, they want to innovate and want to look at products and they want to get involved with what we got going on, guys. It's about as much as I can say probably without getting GoForth to send me a nastyogram. Guys, it's about to get really good.
It is. So congratulations. I mean, I'm just looking back at that DFL number at $123,000, Gabrielle and I. Unbelievable. Top base shop new writer getters, Marty Valor and Sue Adams. I think it's Marty Valor, excuse me. Jacob Pogue with the top direct with 12. I see you, Danny Young. Kelly Bush, top SNA retriever out of the base shop with 3.
Yep.
Amy Susie and Kevin Purdy both with 5 on the direct board. And Spivey, you are officially on the clock. Let's see how many of these names that you can get correct, not incorrect, which we might do later. We'll see what you can get right.
You want me to try to do it correctly?
Correctly, yes.
Okay. Give it my
Last
best
names
shot.
are fine.
Last name only.
Yes.
Smith, Pierce, Prime, Blair, Medina, Baldwin, Romero, Hurd, Matlock, Ray, Sanson, Chavaria, Casio, Montel, Petrie, Torrevillo, Nelson, Salmon, as my dad would say.
As my mom would say.
Harris, Tech. I want to say Wallen, but Wayland just sounds so freaking cool.
It's definitely a Whalen. I got to go with
Bagwell, Williams, Berthon, Ash, Hatch, Snigoski, Green, Holland, Laws, Mills, Gaddis, Flores, and Gage.
Well done, man. I would give you about a 90% on there, and I'm not even sure which one you got wrong, but I'm sure they can tell us in the Q&A.
If you knew how my toes curl up in my shoes when you and Casey are on these and I have to read this leaderboard, like, it's the most uncomfortable 30 seconds of my week.
Oh, that's great. We're stretching you.
It is.
Good.
Also hit on really quick, congratulations to all of you SMAs, but that is a lot of them too.
Yeah, it is.
Guys, when we started the SNA program as a company, we were looking at 7 to 12 in a week.
If that.
Last few weeks, we've been averaging over 40.
Yeah, this is it's really taken off. And I will also say that congratulations, everybody that had record weeks and months, because we got a ton of texts from people doing that. We had I think our 4th largest week in production ever last week. So if you're not in on the record breaking, see what you can change, see what you can learn from today's call.
The big map.
Top key leader for the week was Hulk Hogan, Joshua Quillen, Heather Morrow with the top recruiting, and Brandon Helmink and Lillian Strimple, both with 2 new writers. For the month, it was Heather Morrow with 101 grand. Hello, as a key leader. 17 recruits, Heather. You beat out Randy the Macho Man Savage. And 10 new writers, Christina Watts, as a key leader in a week. 10 new writers. Watch. We're going to go through some other levels of leadership here, Christina, and you'll see how you really stack up there. That was really good, though. Ashley Richard, top AO for the week with almost 60,000. Eric Farron and Jerry Choate tied with 5 recruits. Amanda Torma with 4 new writers. Amy Anderson with 3. Ashley Richard with 226,480, barely beating out Alec Myers. Jerry Choate, top recruiter with 23. Kelly Bush had 19 new writers for the month. Way to go. Agency directors, Sarah Reinecke for the week took it with 210,000. Larry and Ann Griffin with 18 recruits, and Ben and Sarah Safepour and Roddy and Jesse Jessup, both with 9 new writers. For the month, it was Reinecke with 702,000, Larry and Ann Griffin with 83, and Sarah with 58 new writers.
Let's back up right quick, Brandon. That's silly. Look at that.
It is silly.
Come on, Sarah Reinecke, $702,000. She's been around here for a hot minute.
Hello.
Less than 3 years.
Unbelievable. Eileen Balmer with 188,009. Sarah Bailey with 12 and Sue Adams with 9. For the month, it was Eileen, Jamie, and Jamie. 54 recruits and 57 new riders. Somebody do that math for me. How are you so good that you actually get more new riders than you got recruits in a month? And I know how this works. Obviously, there's some
Because she's keeping
sprint
her
rollover minutes and all that
pipeline
kind of
flowing.
stuff. I mean, I get it. I hear you. But
It's not 1 week of effort and then she's sitting back and coasting. She is doing it week in, week out.
Just shy of 600,000 for the month from the Seuss.
Was it you and I that were talking, Brandon, the other day about, we were talking last night at football. We were talking about like, what's the difference between a Joe Montana quarterback and the third string quarterback in the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
And it's consistency. It's the willingness to literally show up consistently day in, day out when other people don't feel like it, or maybe don't sense that they even have the need to. They know that consistency and staying on it is going to be the key.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Top managing vice president, Ziller, with a heck of a week, 150 grand. Chris Cook with 22 recruits, and new riders tied for Ziller and Cook. Well done, gang.
Don't forget
Ziller
on
took it
Chris
overall,
Cook
man.
next week, by the way, in Vegas. If you got an opportunity to make it out there, the Cook Agency is going to be hosting a wonderful conference. And if you want any information, you can reach out to Chris and Lauren Cook or anybody on their team, but I'm sure they would love to see some people there.
Love it, love it, love it. Ziller, number one for the month. Cook, number one recruiter for the month, 150 almost. And then Chris and Griff tied for new riders with 20. Well done. Top senior vice president was the Godfather in a bow tie, $178,000 for the week. Mike and Jennifer Colburn with 11 recruits, and Tony with 7 new riders. For the month, it was also the Godfather in a bow tie. Hey, $124,000 with 52 recruits, 32 new riders for Mike and Sarah Pappas. Goodness gracious. That's big. That's a big number. Papai, that's a huge number. The Mank Tank with 170,000 for the week. Sean Shannon with 14 recruits, and Scott with 4 new riders. $763,000 is good enough for the month for Scott. Sean Shannon with 71 recruits, 23 new riders for Scott Mank. Well done, buddy. Lynn Watkins, who I think this might be his farewell on the leaderboards, we said. So this might be the last time for a while. You see old Lenny, 617, as we're working out his retirement path. That's a good thing, not a bad thing for those that weren't at the leadership event. But for the month, man, $617,000. Look at Ryan and Michelle Miller, by the way. On the grow, man. 23 recruits, 18 new riders for the month. It was $3 million for Lynn, 150 recruits, and 86 new riders. The Smith Agency, number one on the senior partner board with $564,000. Danny with 28 recruits and 25 new riders to round it out. I think we got a turkey leg coming here. Danny with 2.7, 178 recruits, and 112 new riders. Man, way to go, buddy. That's a big number. Marshall Whalen is just dominating the leaderboards for the past 90 days.
We're getting close to $1.5 million weeks.
1.444. Marshall, is that a record for you? It's got to be close if it's not. And a good week by Pritchett, almost 1.2. 84 recruits for Team Whalen's 49 new riders, man. That's going to be hard to beat, buddy. Well done. $6.5 million for the month. 434 recruits for the month with 233 new riders. Big numbers. KP and the Sunshine Band here with 215,000. Jacob Pug with 32 recruits and 12 new riders. Way to go. Top direct for the month, just shy of $1 million, was Purdy. I think I get a text about once a week from Carl Miller saying that he broke another record. Just saying. So those are the texts that we love to get. So good week for you too, or month for you too, Carl. But Kevin Purdy took it with 970. Chris Cook with 150 recruits. Jamie Susie with 57 new riders. Well done. And finally, base shops. Jamie with 100, right at 109,000 for the week. Mark Newbauer with 10 recruits, and Sue Adams and Marty Valor both with 5 new riders. For the month, it was Jamie Susie with 316, Mark Newbauer with 52, and Susie with 27. I talked to Jacob Pug for a little while yesterday, and he was telling me all these great things going on in his organization. And we talked about Jamie's team for a while. And I will just say, we've said this a couple of times already. We ain't seen nothing yet. When you look at what she's got coming up underground and the quality and the caliber and the quantity of people that are coming up in her organization, it's about to get crazy. He told me what her monthly income was in March, and my chin about hit the table. Let's just say I'd give it another maybe 90 days, a little bit beyond 90 days, be pushing $1 million run rate as an agency owner. Not just an agency owner, obviously. She's much more than that.
Right.
Who needs more leads? Everybody needs more leads. You can look at where all the call-in leads right here in yellow: Florida, California, Indiana, Jersey, Texas, Michigan, Virginia, North Carolina, Missouri, Massachusetts, Kentucky, Georgia, Minnesota, and Mississippi. Get them while they're hot. Also got Lighthouse leads coming up. We talked about this at the leadership event a few weeks ago. We are in beta. We're going to be extending beta, but stay tuned for updates on when you can receive your access to ordering, along with additional details, probably next week, Casey, maybe 2 weeks.
A little bit. Just want to keep everybody reminded on these Lighthouse leads that we are being very methodical in how we roll it out and making sure that we can continue to produce at mass scale. So it is a bit of a slower process. We add anywhere from 10 to 15 new agents a week, and we've got plans to ramp that up, as Brandon implied, in the coming weeks. But certainly some patience out there, and just know that we are seeing tremendous results, and we want to get these in the hands of everybody humanly possible. But we also know when we open the floodgates that anything at scale is going to run into some bumps. So we're trying to do so in a very responsible manner.
I like that. You really turned a corner on your responsibility, Spivey.
Thank you.
Level of responsibility. I really like that.
Thank you.
You can just see here that close rates are great. Show rates are amazing. Production coming out like crazy. So hang tight. They're coming. Social Q, Casey. I don't know who's if it's just us talking about social
awesome
Q today.
engagement. Tyler shared some stuff last week on this, but we're getting some really good traction and really just good results.
Yes.
People recruiting more, people generating, really quality, more market sales from it. So I know, again, this is a pilot program as well, and but it looks like we're doing our second agent activation class on May 4th. So registrations can be coming soon on that. So engage with us, guys.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Oh man, this is a good one. Protect the Path coming up. Scan little QR code here. Unless you're driving, don't do that. April 16th through the 22nd, you can find participation numbers for each city on HQ. We're going to be here in Asheville, Baltimore, Dallas, LA, Nashville, Phoenix, Ponte Vedra Beach, and Salt Lake City, Utah, plus 20 plus additional meetups around the country. So hop on HQ, get all the info. This is going to be a great Earth Day event. I'm going to love it. It's Protect the Path Day, but we got several days throughout. So if you want to protect several paths, we'd love to hear from you.
Yep.
It's a great way to get your exercise too. Take a few steps, bend over, pick something up, put it in your sack, take a few steps, bend over. It's kind of, it's a way cooler Richard Simmons workout.
Good team building too.
Yes, for sure.
Invite the team.
Please do. We got a big one coming up August 9th through 11th in Denver, Colorado. Engage Conference 2023. You can go to engagenow2023.com to get owners packs, tickets, all that good stuff. If you want to have any level of success in this business, come to conference. If you want to be the type of person that like quits and goes on to the next thing, and then quits and goes on to the next thing, and then quits and goes on to the next thing, maybe don't come to conference. That'd be fine. Just telling you what you need to do. You don't have to listen.
And get yourself 10 at least 10 people with you there. And our historical averages have held up over the last, well, probably 7 or 8 years, ever since we've tracked it. For every 10 people at conference, it represents 50,000 a month of submitted volume. So if you can get 10 people at conference, That's $50,000 a month of submit outside of your personal pen, which probably represents about $50,000 a year of passive before I get out of bed and sell one policy income. So owner's pack is about backing yourself into a corner, playing the owner's investment game, hitting the done button. It's $18.99 for a block of 10. You're selling against that. So you're recouping that money. You're just kind of making the investment with us, and that we're big on forced commitments. How do I back myself into the corner a little bit so I have to work out of it? So hit the done button on an owner's pack. If you are not registered for this, you might want to check in with your manager or your agency owner, because they will have an owner's pack. Someone on the team will have an owner's pack with spots available. But I would highly encourage everyone to be thinking about their own owner's pack. And that theater holds, I think it's like a little under 5,000 maybe.
Yep, like 4,800, I think, something like that. Not a bad seat in the house.
Not a bad seat in the house, and it's going to be the best conference yet. And I just really, 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 what I want more than anything right now this year is for us to sell out Denver.
Yeah.
We do that.
I like that. Seems like a reasonable
force ourselves
request.
to have to go into overflow.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Hey, there's an IUL contest for Naples, Florida at the Ritz-Carlton. The trip is the 11th through the 14th. We started qualifications in February. We're going through the end of June. You can visit HQ for more details, but here's where we currently are. This is our current standings, and you can see it's pretty tight in the top 10 even, because one or two IULs can completely change the leaderboard. So if you want to learn more about IULs, you should be hanging out on Siggy's calls, listening to what
be
the
hanging out
fellas
on
have to
Siggy's
say.
calls. And remember, on these IUL contests, guys, the way F&G did this is really smart. There's opportunities to win a completely paid for trip. There's opportunities to win your hotel will be covered for. There's opportunities for you to only have to pick up food. There's different tiers too. So they want to be very inclusive. They want to give everybody a chance to come associate and be around the awesome trip it's going to be. But you don't have to necessarily just finish in the top 10 or top 20 and get your trip completely paid for. There's opportunities for you to share cost if you show up, do some production, and still want to go associate with these lovely peoples. And Brandon, you weren't here when I announced this. Casey and I were talking about it.
Yeah, this is a new one to me.
That hotel is where I met Rod Stewart. And so I know we don't really want to do any false advertising around here about the greatest, largest contest ever, but in the same spirit, we are marketing this as a possibility to meet Rod Stewart. He was there 10 years ago.
That. What is what's your favorite Rod Stewart song?
Maggie.
Maggie's really hard to beat, isn't it? But I go back to Faces, and you got poor old grandpa laughed at what he said. What was the name of that song, Meredith? We used to love that. What that was, a bitter man. What is it, Doug? Ooh La La. Ooh La La. Yes. It's a great one. Well, chances are you're going to meet Rod Stewart, maybe even be able to sing that song with him. So go write yourself some IULs. Or don't. You might just miss the chance to meet Rod Stewart. Todd, you got a big one coming up, buddy. What is it?
It's it's not a big deal. It just, last minute had to fill the gap somehow. And, Casey was walking by my office and looked like a
popped in.
Man, fired up. Been trying for a while to get the calendars to align, and got my good buddy and our founder and fearless leader, Casey Watkins, to show up. And just to me and everybody out there, I think you can feel the synergy and the love that we've all got to experience if you've been in the proximity of Casey Watkins. And I couldn't think of anybody better on to talk about what engagement looks like, what it feels like, where you should be focusing in your agency. Challenge yourself. If you're one of those people that thinks that maybe your voice ordering or your the way you show up to others is not keeping or attracting the type of agents that you would like to build your agency around, show up, plug into this, watch it live or rewatch it later, and absolutely learn from one of the industry's best, from our buddy, Mr. Casey.
Gonna be a good one. I have no doubt. Two of my favorite people. Well, you guys, speak to something that's maybe a little controversial? Could you guys maybe debate something, get in an argument at all? I think that would really drive attendance.
Well, I think I think he did catch me in the tub at the lake house, and there was a little bit of.
Might be a little too controversial.
You remember when you told me, Brandon, that you told me to be sure and use the brown loofah, that it'd be okay if I borrowed the brown loofah? Well, it turns out Casey shows up on Todd Talks ready to talk to me, and I was using the brown loofah, and you didn't tell me that's Casey's loofah.
Well, I just never known of anyone wanting to share loofahs with anyone. So
I thought you were being a good friend
I know.
and let me borrow your loofah.
You can totally use I'm just not going to use it after you do. So that's fine.
I'm interested that the color is brown. The brown. It's
I
an
was
interesting
hoping-
color for a
I was
loofah.
hoping nobody
dirt
else would. I was hoping nobody else would acknowledge that.
Hides dirt well.
All right, we still got a lot of stuff to go over with Meredith and the crew. So what you got here, B-Dubs?
We have a couple coaching opportunities for the Symmetry fam. So if you're new around here, Symmetry Coaching provides experts in their fields. They come alongside our organization. They do the hard yards of understanding our business model. We've got a training that they go through, and thankfully all of our coaches are just amazing people that right now pretty much come out of either my network or one of our agents' networks, which is great. But this one coming up here, we're just calling it the giant stuff. And based on feedback, we heard that lots of people would like to dive into this deeper in a way that we don't necessarily always offer through Summit or what you'll hear about in a minute. Our development on demand workshops that we're rolling out will be another way to do that. But this one here, Dr. Mark Herringshaw, great friend of mine, my old business partner. Those of you working with Mark know how gifted and talented he is, and a fellow PhD in leadership. But he really, I call him now the Symmetry Savant, because he really does get our world. And so if you need to learn the leadership language that we use around here, but more importantly, to really apply that on a day in, day out way, he has a unique way of ensuring that people understand how to apply the tools. So this one we've made available at $89 a month. Again, when we use external experts like this, I mean, this is what they get paid for. You would not be able to work with people like this at that price if you went out to the market. So go ahead and take a screenshot. This is for any level of leadership. One idea that we had on this one was go ahead and bring your team to it. This can be open to as many people as possible. So you might bring a group of 3 or 4 or 5 people, even more, and we'll put you in breakouts in this coaching group where you can kind of do some deep work with your team. So this is going to be great to learn all the influence model, the square, 5 voices, all those things in an intensive way. The next one is I'm going to have Toby on next week. You can click to the next slide for me. Toby Basford. Toby is also a former Giant partner, leads his own business now. He was the chief people officer of a large tech company in the UK. He's working with a lot of Brad Smith's 130s right now, Dave Alvarado and others. And what we're doing here is Toby, one of his secret sauces is he's really like a proper consultant, and he knows how to customize the learning to people. So we're going to run a very focused coaching group. If you are at the 120 contract level and you're on your kind of push towards 130, obviously 125 first, we're going to put a group together for you all to really be challenged. It's going to be intensive. It's going to be customized. It's going to use the Summit modules as a part of this. So again, Toby, sometimes just being around the right person that helps you think differently is all the difference. So I'm going to have you meet Toby one of these national call weeks. So we've got a month until these cohorts launch. We'll put this out in HQ under Symmetry Coaching, but feel free to dig into this one as well if that connects with you. That'll be a small, tight group of people. And finally, something I'm really excited about. Again, I've heard a lot of feedback, and it's time to up the ante. Spivey and I were talking about this morning. We're going to start rolling out what I'm calling for now development on demand workshops, DODs. These are myself leading these. These are going to be, there might be another leader, maybe Meredith leads one, Doug leads one. These are just, again, part of our ecosystem, no cost. We're going to start running on a regular basis. I could see these even being weekly, taking you through the personality experience. So Friday, April 21st from 2 to 4, We're going to run our first one. We're going to have up to 35 people as a part of this, so it's not unlimited. Stay tuned for registration details. You'll either see something on HQ or you'll get an email about that. But we're going to start running these things based on the feedback we've heard from you all, because some of you are saying, man, where can I go deeper and work with you on personality, 5 voices, all the stuff even we were talking about on the builders call. How do you actually become that leader worth following? So we're just going to start rolling these out one at a time. They're kind of one-off things that you don't have to commit to over a long period of time, no charge. And I would just say, don't come if it doesn't relate to you, if you feel like you've got a good handle on it. If you need a review, you're more than welcome, but leave this open for people that really would like to be part of it. So super pumped about these. Stay tuned.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. A couple of upcoming events. You can see them here. Got a carrier webinar with efficiency on Thursday. FIF resets on Thursday, also at 3:00. DFL call Friday, 3:00. And next Tuesday are FIF reset and advanced markets webinars. So there we go. All right. That was a lot. I'm sorry. We had to build it all the way up to the good stuff that's about to come. There's a lot of good stuff
just
there.
jump in real quick before we move to this, because it really applies to this and almost everything we talk about and we promote as a company. I saw a really good question from a new person on here about conference, and the question was, if I'm a brand new agent and I can't afford to go, what do I do? And want everyone to remember this, and I've got this from one of the first chapters in Success Principles by Jack Canfield. I think that was the book. It was E plus R equals O. Event plus response equals outcome. We all want to change our outcome. That's why we're on these calls. That's why we're here. We want a different outcome. The only way to change your outcome, we can't change the event. Whatever's in front of us in the moment, we can't change the event, right? So the only thing we can change is the R, the response. Yep. So the way we apply that to something like conference is, instead of saying, I can't afford to go, we say, I have to go because I can't afford to go. It's just a little bit of a different way of thinking about it. But again, everything about this business is mental. Everything about success a lot of times is very mental. It's just trying to think and approach something with a little bit of a different mindset, because the moment we say can't, our brain shuts off. I have to go because I can't afford it. And again, this doesn't just apply to conference. This applies to so many things that may be promoted sometimes with this company, where you, in your brain, you might kind of go, that doesn't sound like me. That might be the very thing that you're missing. That might be the very thing that you've just got to work on, that R. You've got to change that response a little bit. You get a different outcome. So E plus R equals O. Doesn't change right away, but when your brain changes, things shift. So money, muscle, mind.
Great one. Great one.
Yeah.
Yes. Meredith, what you got in store for us today?
Yes. So Doug and I are real excited, and Brandon and Casey and Spivey, like, this is a 5-way conversation. B-dubs, jump on if you want to, because we're just so excited, to be back with y'all for Money, Muscle, Mind. This was something we did 4 or 5 years ago. Now that Ripple is back and established, we hope this to be a yearly event. Kicking off in the spring, we are really wanting to just use the energy of spring. We set so many resolutions in January, and then it's winter and it's cold and there's no energy and we're sick more. And before you know it, 3 months has passed and we're like, I haven't gotten anywhere on the resolutions I set. And maybe it's because it wasn't time. Maybe winter is about being reflective. Maybe winter is about going inward and really evaluating, what do I need for growth? And so as we were brainstorming this, it was like, why are we not starting our year 1 on March 20th? On spring equinox, because that is when nature is saying it is time to bloom. It is time for growth. It is time for change. And so here at Quility, we're in our first month. So bring back those resolutions, right? Bring them back and let's resurface them. And let's work with nature, and let's work with this energy that we're all feeling. Sometimes I have to remind myself in the spring to not overcommit, to not overdo, because I do have and feel so much energy. but fall will come. The harvest will need harvesting. And if I've overcommitted, there won't be enough money and time and me to go around. So that was kind of the catalyst of how just this whole thing kicked off. And then Doug and Whit and I, Doug specifically was like, we need to bring this back. It's time to resurface this. And what we're hoping for is we want to take these concepts and we want to go deeper with you all. We want to have an invitation for us all to go deeper and look at the relationship with these three things. Our relationship, and this month is going to be with money. And babe, you're welcome to just leave the screen and go to us. We'll go back to the slides at the end. But you know, for me, I think there is no better human alive that speaks to this than Lynn Twist. And I know a lot of you, if you've had me on a call, I've mentioned Lynn a lot. She's like my second name drop after Brene is Lynn Twist. She's right now, I think, even more of a name drop for me. But Lynn, I'm going to give you a little bit about just a little bit of her background. But for more than 40 years, Lynn has been recognized as a global visionary committed to alleviating poverty, ending world hunger, empowering the status of women and girls, supporting social justice and environmental sustainability. Like if you look up Ripple in the dictionary one day, like she's like the epitome of what Ripple is about, right? And because of her work in philanthropy, Lynn has sat next to, she calls them the most resource poor of our world and the most resource rich of our world. And I love the way she does that and how she separates and doesn't use people and label them as poor or rich, but their resources might be poor or their resources might be rich, but it has nothing to do with who they are as the whole human and who they are as a human being. And Lynn has helped raise over $150 million for the World Hunger Project. So she has been inundated with money her whole life and has seen how this relationship we have with money works with people, whether you are recess poor or resource rich. Lynn also is the founder of the Soul of Money Institute. She's worked with over 100,000 people, more than 50 countries in board retreats, workshops, one-on-one coaching in areas of fundraising for integrity, conscious philanthropy, and then creating a healthy relationship with money. So I just don't think there's a better teacher for us out there than Lynn. Lynn has written 2 books, The Soul of Money, which we're going to invite everyone to join us with on this month as our book of the month. And then she also, a recent book she just released is Living a Committed Life, Finding Freedom and Fulfillment in a Purpose Larger Than Yourself. So that is going to be our teacher for the month is Lynn. We're going to introduce at the end of this a 4-week class that you can invest in. Some of us, it's hard sometimes to commit to listening to a whole book. I get it. Sometimes our world, it moves fast. So we could do a 4-week program. It's 60 to 90 minutes long. It does cost $100, but I think it's a huge investment in yourself. And I'm going to encourage us all to do that together on that. But just moving into a little bit of her work. Doug, before I keep going, is there anything you wanted to add just to Lynn? And
no, well said. It was, I'm so grateful for the book and the information. It's been some time since I engaged with it, and it was just so cool to come back to it after a number of years through, many experiences and many different changes in life, and kind of come to it with fresh eyes and received a lot from this book. So I'm excited to be able to share with these folks.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be really good. And, I think to start all this off, I just want us to kind of step back and really, when you're swimming in the ocean, if you're a fish, you don't quite know that you're in water, right? Until you're out of water. I remember when I was in 3rd grade, I went to the eye doctor, and I didn't know I couldn't see. And then all of a sudden I get these glasses and I walk outside and I'm like, this is what everybody else is seeing. Like, there's leaves. You can see the leaves on the trees. I think Brandon, you and I had the exact same experience. I think you were in 3rd grade and I was in 4th grade or vice versa. But it was just like, oh. And so what I want us to do this month is really it's the awareness, like really like this awareness that we are living in a money culture. It's everywhere. We're living in a money culture and we're living in a consumer culture, right? It's everywhere. It's the water in which we swim. And there's a lot of pain, suffering, hurt in this culture. And it's not our fault. And I think that's so liberating. And here's what I'm going to say. If you're listening to me right now, you have pain around this money culture. There is pain and there is trauma. And I remember when when Brandon and I first started in this business, I knew I had to go to work on myself around this work because I was scared of being resource rich. I was very scared of it because I thought people turned bad when they got money. And I didn't want to turn bad when I got money. And I didn't want to forget who I was. And I didn't want to forget the integrity and the love that Brandon and I wanted to create. And so I almost wanted to push it away, and it scared me. And I knew, and luckily someone soon gave me, at that point I read, I think The Millionaire Mind, that just helped me understand this relationship with money and these belief systems that were handed down to me that I got to choose, is this truly what I believe or not? And I got to take back my power with that. And I'll be real vulnerable to tell y'all, this happened to me again very recently. Brandon and I have shared that we have spent the last 4 years building a home that we have dreamed about for really 20 years on this property. We have thought about it. We've dreamed about it. We spent years thinking about what the creation wanted to be, how we wanted to honor each other in it, how we wanted to create space for family and for community and for our friends and our loved ones. We wanted to invest in sustainable products. We wanted to invest in our local community to help us build out furniture, right? And so it took a lot of time and it took a lot of money and it took us a long time to save for it. But I will tell you, the first 6 months of living here in my own body was pretty miserable. I felt terrible. And I had to realize that this was the relationship of money that needed some more work on me, right? Because a relationship is just that. It's something that forever will need work, attention, and nurturing. And it was time for me to go back to work on that. Because I didn't want to be embarrassed. I didn't want to, because we built it out of love. But if I changed the energy in the home, then it was going to not fulfill us. And it was going to feel, it wasn't going to feel good. And that's not why we designed it. So I pulled out The Soul of Money and I started reading again. I put Lynn Twist in my ear every morning and I started listening again. And I started getting back what I trusted in, not what I feared. Right. And so that's what I want us to talk about this. It goes so much deeper. And to kick it off, I just want to say, we all have our wounds and we all have our hurt here. And we all have these beliefs that were handed down, but it's time for us to take our power back over it. Because if you're here and you're willing to go on this journey with us, we are in a business that can provide an opportunity for an amazing amount of abundance, right? And it's not just about money. It's about an abundance of, yes, money, but an abundance of how we give back. It's an abundance of people. It's abundance of agents, right? But our world is set up in this, what Lynn calls the lie of scarcity. This lie that there's never enough. There's never enough money. There's never enough time. There's never enough agents. There's never enough, sleep. It's like how many times we wake up in the morning like, God, I didn't get enough sleep. And you go to bed at the end of the day, and you're like, God, I didn't get enough done. Right. And then before you know it, you're just swimming in this lie of that there's not enough of anything. And it's false. And it's actually not true at all. And so that is one of the biggest lessons that I think I got from Lynn, is just this lie that we all live in. And then how do we kind of take this back, right? And Doug's going to talk to us a lot, but if we take it back from what she calls the amazing kind of surprising truth of sufficiency, right? And Doug, talk to us a little bit about sufficiency. And I think it's important here for people to really pay attention, not only to what sufficiency is, but what it is not. Because I think that's where it's just really helpful for people right now.
Yeah, thank you. Well said. Yeah, I mean, I think that was, for me, one of the most impactful parts of listening and reflecting on this is that concept of sufficiency. We've all probably heard of, things like scarcity and I always thought the other side was abundance. And, going through this, it really, put this concept in my face, and it really gives you something to work with on a daily basis. I was reflecting a little bit, just thinking about what you were saying about swimming in the ocean. And I think, that's what culture is, right? Culture is something you're born into. It's not something you decide upon. It exists at a family level, it exists at a community level, it exists at a regional level, at a national level, right? There's all these different things, but essentially culture is a set of assumptions you're given about the way the world works, right? Here's the way things work. Here's the purpose of money. Here's what you're supposed to do with it. And I think in this journey over the next 3 months with us, the opportunity you're being presented with is to question those assumptions, to really take a step back and to say, well, just because this is what's given to me, is that really true for me? Is it really what I believe? Because when you look at something specifically like money, if it was true that the assumptions we believe here in this culture were true, then you would see them everywhere across the world. And in fact, that's not what you see. People relate very differently to money depending on the culture that they're in. So that gives us some information to say, well, it's not the thing, right? It's not the thing that causes the challenge. It's our relationship to and the expectations of that thing that cause us the challenges we experience in our life. And so you summed up scarcity well, which is that belief of not enough. It can't come to money, as you said, but really it comes to all sorts of resources. It's a belief there's not enough, but it also is somewhat of a zero-sum game, meaning there's only not enough, there's only a limited amount of it. And if somebody else is getting theirs, it means I can't get mine. And that is one of the biggest drivers of the unhealthy side of scarcity, which breeds fear, envy, unhealthy competition. There is healthy competition, but unhealthy competition. It breeds all these things because you exist in a world where I don't have enough, and the only way I'm going to get enough is if somebody else can't get enough. Well, that literally is what you wake up to, because you've been swimming in it for your whole life. You just assume that's the way it needs to be. So on the other side of that, right, I always thought of abundance, which is more than enough, right? And that's a great experience to have, but it's not really the foundation of wellness when it comes to your relationship to money. It really is all about sufficiency. And sufficiency is I have enough. I have enough to live the life that I want to live. I have enough to have the relationships and experiences that I want. But sufficiency doesn't just relate to money. One of the most beautiful things about Lynn Twist, and I don't think I ever really connected this, but we all love and know Charity Water, who is a movement and mission we support here at Quility. And I was always fascinated by this because the Charity Water model was not, in fact, charity. Charity is like, here's a bunch of money and solve your problems. And guess what charity, when it just comes in terms of money, creates dependence. It actually harms cultures that rely on assistance from other cultures, because through that, they develop the belief that the only way I can survive is through the giving of other people. Her model of sufficiency went in and actually asked the question, what do you already have in place that you can leverage to create the life that you want? So it takes a step back, and it's not always this idea of I've got to go get something else. I start right here, and I just thought it was such a beautiful story she told about going in to areas of sub-Saharan Africa and just places where, and I hear her describe the landscape and what it's like to live there. I was like, I'd be dead in about 30 minutes. But there's people that live their entire lives there, thriving, happy. But when she goes into these places, she doesn't come in with a pile of money and say, here you go, get some food, get some water. She goes in with the prospect and starts with liberation of vision, of belief, of dream, to say these people here may feel oppressed by this. And the first step always in sufficiency is to say, let's unearth that energy, right? Sufficiency is a path to tap into this level of energy that you can't imagine. Think about it for a minute. When you feel scarce, when you feel like you don't have enough, what's your energy like? Personally, mine's usually pretty low. Mine's usually in a stance of defensiveness, on guard for whatever the hell the world might do to me next. And so I'm constantly on edge looking for when the other shoe's going to drop in life. And so it puts you in this position that your energy is solely focused on self-protection. You can't grow from that place. That's not where growth occurs. So sufficiency really is about opening up this energy that exists inside of you. And when she went into these areas, that step of opening that conversation with people, that step of allowing them to express dreams, visions, and hopes was the first step to crack the door open to believe, oh, there's Gilbert. So it was this path to open up this energy by taking that experience and saying, okay, let's crack this door open. And then all of a sudden, this pouring of energy came out of these people, because for a lot of them, it was the first time they ever thought about, what can I do to improve the circumstances of my life? And so these folks are out there, and some of the craziest things you've heard about across this world started with this model. And that's what Charity Water doesn't just come in and say, here's a bunch of money. They come in and teach people how to drill wells. They work with them about building resources. They work with them about being able to pull in everything that's already present and existing in their lives. But because they believe they don't have the capacity to achieve, they don't ever connect the dots. That's life for so many people listening to this call. Their resources, the opportunities are there, but because you don't believe it, you're unable to connect the dots. You're unable to see that path. And it's not because it doesn't exist. It's because you're trapped in a belief system that was handed to you. So sufficiency, and I've never thought about it in that way, is the key to unlocking this energy that drives growth and success to a point where you can't even imagine what you are capable of, because you are doing it with scarce energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so good. Because, you know, she says this so beautiful. I'm going to read exactly her words, but, you know, sufficiency is not an amount of anything. You know, it's not a I need more of or I need less than. She says, in our relationship with money, it is using money in a way that expresses our integrity, using in a way that expresses value rather than determines value. Sufficiency is not a message about simplicity or cutting back and lowering expectations. Sufficiency doesn't mean we shouldn't strive or aspire. Sufficiency is an act of generating, distinguishing, making known to ourselves the power and presence of our existing resources and our inner resources. Sufficiency is a context we bring forth from within that reminds us that we look around and within ourselves, we will find all that we need. And that's what she's talking about. When we focus on versus what we don't have enough of, and we focus on what we do have, right? And we appreciate it and we focus on that, then it grows. She has a beautiful way of saying it. What you appreciate appreciates, right? And we can take this right back. And again, I hate to drop names, but I'm going to, because there's so many in our company that do this. In fact, what I love about Symmetry the most is when, and I don't know if and we knew what we were doing, but now to get it at this deeper level is that money culture is built on either you or me are going to win. You or me. What I love about Symmetry Financial Group at its core, it is built on you and me can win. You and me can win. There is enough here for everyone that joins this company to win. And that's why this company, in my heart and belief, will be sustainable forever, because it's not one or the other. It's all. And that's what sufficiency is. And if we want to take a beautiful example, and again, so many of you do it because this is how we've built things and how you all have built this culture. But I'm going to throw out Jamie Susie right now, because she's on the top of the leaderboards every month, right? Sarah Reineke, Jacob Hogue. Follow Jamie Susie's Instagram. And I will challenge you to find a single post that is not about appreciation and gratitude. I don't care if it's her Starbucks in the morning, the person that's handing her the Starbucks, the coaching on the sidelines, the agents that she pours into. She appreciates her life. She appreciates her agency. She appreciates her husband. She appreciates her kids. She appreciates her community. And what are we seeing right in front of us on the leaderboards? It grows because it's the law of sufficiency. It's enough, right? But because that's where your focus is, that's where the energy goes, and that's what grows. So it's just liberating.
I was going to read there's a great quote I found earlier that I think sums it up really well and reflects what you're saying, which is scarcity speaks in terms of never enough, emptiness, fear, mistrust, envy, greed, hoarding, competition, fragmentation, separateness, judgment, striving, entitlement, control, busy, survival, and outer riches. But sufficiency speaks in terms of gratitude, fulfillment, love, trust, respect, contribution, faith, compassion, integration, wholeness, commitment, acceptance, partnership, responsibility, resilience, and inner riches. I don't know about you, but when I hear that, I'm like, well, there's a clear winner, and which one I would prefer to experience as a daily experience in my life. And so much of this is just like, you take that, you look at these folks out there, right? And you're convinced, well, some technical ability, maybe, right? Maybe there's some nuance in there that they're doing differently than you. But I guarantee you the biggest differentiator between the people you see up there is how they're approaching the work, the energy they're bringing to it. That's the idea of attraction, right? And if you look around, it's just like, well, at a foundational level, right? Leadership exists because people believe you have the ability to help them get what they want. People are going to tell you they want money, right? What they really want is joy, gratitude, happiness, and they believe money will be the path to get there. It's necessary, absolutely. We need it to live our lives in this world. We talked about this earlier, Meredith. We need it, but the reality is we invented it. It's not an actual thing in the universe. We just invented it so we could trade easily with one another in this world. So it's just like, so if we invented it, there's no doubt we placed the meaning on it. And so that idea of what you focus on grows. Well, if you grow your gratitude, and that's why this is money, muscle, and mind, if you grow that aspect of yourself, right, the resource that becomes available to you changes drastically because of that energy that you are expressing to the world, that you're going to find people that are wanting to express that and live that back with you. And I think that's such a beautiful example of Jamie of like, it's a simple shift for most of us, but is simple and repetitive. And Todd, you said this earlier on the builders call, which is it's all about putting things in practice in your life and being consistent with them from a perspective of, I'm not sure that everything I've been told is true. So let me start to get real curious about what this looks like in my life.
Mm-hmm. And I think, and I know we need to wrap up, but I think to end it, because it is an invention by man, right? We invented it, money historians tell us it's 4,500 years ago, 4,500 to 3,500 years ago. And it was invented to make sure everyone was taken care of, right? And somewhere along the way, it lost its purpose, right? It became about, I want to take care of the few and not the all, right? But what is so exciting to me, and we talked about this for those of you that were at Leaders Conference 2 weeks ago, Leader Summit, is going back to that word power, right? And that power over. And right now, for many of us, money has power over us. And when you're in a state of power over, it bullies. It takes, it's about scarcity. It's about there's not enough, so I've got to control, right? But if we shift our relationship with money to power with, power to, and power within, because we invented it, we can give it its value. We can decide what energy money has over us, with us, and in us. Yes, I have enough. But it doesn't mean I don't want to attract more, to be in power with money, to be power to money, to reallocate it back into our world, she talks about to be what a citizen is about, right? A citizen, the definition of a citizen is that you believe in the well-being of your community, your nation, and in your world, right? We've confused and we've kind of lost our way with citizen, and we've gone so much to consumerism, and we're consumers, and I am as guilty as anyone. This is a lesson for us all, right? But I want to be a citizen with my money. I want to breathe into the well-being of what we're doing. And so let's take our power back, right? And let's quit using it as something because if it's used as power over us, we're going to try to take it and use it as power over others, but we have the ability to change the energy of money. When it comes into us, the energy in which it came in, we can choose the energy in which we want it going back out. And that's liberating, and it's powerful. And that's where you can step into just that power within, and not being ashamed of money, and not being scared of it, and not trying to hoard it and hold on to it, but to allow it to flow, right? To allow it to flow through us. The word currency comes from the word current. It is here to move through us. It's to move around. And I'm just so excited to be with you all this next month. I believe in entrepreneurship. I believe in business ownership. And I'm so excited because we can be the change agents, right? We can be the change agents that our world wants to see. We don't have to give our power away to government powers, to anything else. Like, we can be the change we want to see in the world. And when you understand that as a business owner, and understand that kind of power with, and power to, and power within, abundance happens. There's no burnout. Energy flows, energy moves, and you have the sustainability to do this work for the rest of your life, because it's coming from an abundant place, not a place of scarcity. So, Brandon, Casey, Spivey, sorry, Doug.
Good. Lord, I loved it.
Yeah.
Love it. I've gotten so many. I was looking at the chat just in the Q&A, and just blowing up. And I think this resonates with so many people, because all of us were born with a blueprint, right? Let me rephrase that. We weren't born with a blueprint. We were born and then given a blueprint based on how we were raised and how we saw it. Some people were raised with a lot of money, and maybe they saw how it negatively impacted people because of things like greed, or this constant chase. And we know, Doug, with the fundamentals of positive psychology, is if you don't understand how these things work, the minute you get to where you think you want to be and is going to make the biggest impact and change in you, you're already looking to the next level because you're not content or satisfied with where you are, right? So many people, I think, maybe listening in on this call right now that maybe they were born without much money and they were taught or they heard that, as you guys were saying so beautifully, that money was the root of evil. And if you don't understand that, then you begin to get jealous, or you have judgment on the wealthy, right? Or you look down on, or you have this victim mentality of why they have and I don't. And then maybe you get money. And I think, Meredith, this is kind of what you were talking about, is then you get this guilt or this worthiness because you've been taught one thing and you're wondering, like, do other people see me as this? And so, I love this month being about challenging our belief systems around money and how we were raised through this. So many people on this call may be up to their ears in debt. Some people may have gone through bankruptcies, foreclosures, all of those things that, we always used to say that that's not who you are, it's where you are. And hopefully it's where you were, because you have the ability to move forward, right? But it's, as you said beautifully, Meredith, it's all about energy. And it's either going to flow and work with you, or it's going to flow and work against you. And you can constantly self-sabotage yourself, right? Or you don't let yourself off the hook because you can't forgive yourself for terrible decisions that you made when that sometimes weren't even within your control, right? I mean, so many people that are doing so well in our company right now were in a dark, dark place in 2008. So many people that were working in the real estate business or the mortgage businesses, or Casey, even you and I in the insurance business, we were all up to our ears and eyes in debt, so we all have this work to do, and only you know where you are with, what you've been raised with and what your belief systems are around money. But I think this book is going to be really good to help you kind of face those things, help you understand why you have those beliefs, and most importantly, what can you do to change those beliefs so that you can get into the positive energy flow that you see so many people around you,
Yeah, and ultimately that's it. I mean, I think that the simple and first step is to wake up. If you've been living in this, you've been living on autopilot, which we've all been living on autopilot. And every time I think I've gotten off autopilot, I'm like, oh crap, here's another one I still got to pay attention to. That's the first step, is to wake up and say, whoa, I've never even asked these questions before. I've never even looked at this relationship. And what's so cool, start here, it's a springboard. Because as you'll see over these next 3 months, that it will be helping you understand how this is developed throughout your life when it comes to movement and nourishment, how you treat your body, when it comes to your mind. All of these things are connected and related. So yeah, exciting stuff over the next 3 months. I think just a little bit about our cadence for everybody out there. The first call of each month will be solely focused to our Money Muscle Mind challenge, but we will be sprinkling in content throughout all of the additional calls through the month to just help you deepen and reinforce the information and practices that we're going to be sharing with you. So Meredith, I know you got a couple things coming up for.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could show the slides, and as you're bringing those up, I just had a little weekly challenge for all of us out there. Is this week, I challenge you all these 3 words: celebrate, acknowledge, appreciate. Celebrate, acknowledge, appreciate. Every encounter you have, every human you come in touch with, how do you celebrate them? How do you acknowledge them? And how do you appreciate them? And if you will challenge yourself for 7 days, it doesn't matter if you are at the checkout line at the grocery store and you are just, thank you so much. I love that pink shirt Casey has on today. Doug, like all of that, like just anything you can do to appreciate, to celebrate, appreciate, and acknowledge. Because what we want to start doing is we want to start remembering who we are as a whole human, not who we are and where we are in the resource bucket, right? But who we are as a human. And the way we do that is we start to celebrate, acknowledge, and appreciate others. right? And when you start pouring into those people, you will start finding your vitality. You'll start finding your energy. You'll start finding it come back to you. And then what you do is you've now got energy to make the changes you need to make for you. It will unparalyze you in movement to conquer the debt, to conquer the building an agency, to conquer everything. And so this week it's about moving and getting that vitality and that energy back to you. And we're going to do it through celebration, acknowledgement, and appreciation. This is Lynn's book, Soul of Money. It is on Audible. You can order it online. I've listened to it 3 times. I have a copy of it. It's fantastic. You can keep going back to it. For those that want to go deeper, is a 4-week class that Lynn offers. It's on her website. I think it's on the next slide, babe, where you can, it's 4 sessions. They're 60 to 90 minutes each, right? It's $100, right? This is not mandatory. It is an invitation.
We have nothing to do with the financial.
No, I found it on Lynn's website. It's under programs. Yeah.
I ordered it yesterday and got through the first session, and it's really good. And I'm just so glad we're starting with mindset, and we're not jumping right into how many checking accounts should you set up, and to an LLC managed by an S corp, and how much should I set aside in taxes. All of that stuff we'll try to sprinkle in, but again, like, y'all are just killing it on how important our relationship and our mindset around money is. That's where we start. Yeah. So good. And this is a great course to help guide you through that process.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super excited, super grateful. Thank y'all so much for having us on, and just, just so grateful for Ripple and all that it's doing, and just you people are amazing. So just so fills us up. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Meredith and Doug. That was awesome. Look forward to the rest of the month. It's gonna be great.
I think they're ready.
Be great.
No record this week, guys.
Yeah, let's go break a record.
Go get them.
Go. Go deep break.
Let's go.